My name is Michael, and I'm bringing in you the MU Hub channel. I've decided to do maybe a daily or weekly review show of the Sky Sports News back pages tonight. It's a show where journalists use as their bread and butter, and the show's focus is always on Manchester United, so I've decided to do a review show of that, and I'd like to kick it off with the Marcus Rashford debacle, and I'd like you to witness what I see watching David Ornstien and Marco Ogden's reply to Gareth Southgate leaving Marcus Rashford out of the England squad. And then after this, I'll play the one where Gareth Southgate is interviewed and get his take and try to form an opinion, because based on what David Ornstien is saying here, he is also baffled by the decision to leave Marcus Rashford out. So let's have a listen and and find out what's going on here. This is two examples of two journalists speaking on the same topic.
The England's provisional squad for the Euros, and Mark Southgate busts the myth. His soft touch with ruthless calls. Henderson and Rashford pictured, of course, omitted from that squad. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I must admit, I think there's been a bit of a misconception about Gareth Southgate. I think he's always had a ruthless streak right from the outset of his time in charge of England. I think he got rid of Theo Walcott quite quickly, Wayne Rooney after that, Joe Hart. He has made the big calls when he's had to make them. I think the issue with Gareth Southgate is that does he make the big calls during games, in tournaments when you have to be quick thinking and change your tactics quickly to win a game, and maybe I've lost a bit of control. But in terms of selection of players, he's never been shy of dropping big name players. On this occasion he's done it twice with Jordan Henderson and Marcus Rashford, and you have to say on both occasions really he's got it right. I don't think either player could say hand on heart that they deserve to be in the England squad. And they're both out for different reasons. I think Jordan Henderson has had a bad season in Saudi Arabia, then with the Netherlands with Ajax. He's been injured recently, so that's really kind of knocked him sideways, as Gareth Southgate said, that injury, that hamstring injury, just basically cost him his place. But I don't think he's probably earned it over the year playing for Ajax, so that is understandable. Marcus Rashford, again, he's got 8 goals all season for Man United. He's had a terrible season. He did score for England against Italy back in November, and it looked like the playing for England was a bit of a release for him. Kind of,
getting away from the situation. Talking about the season,
I don't think you can justify
but Marcus Rashford. We don't talk about the season when it comes to other players. It's an overall thing, especially with Gareth Southgate. If you're talking overall, and consider Marcus Rashford to be one of the best, and at the top of his game he's one of the best, then you pick him.
Maybe you need to change, maybe you need to break.
Regardless of
maybe he'll do good for Man United or his own career, but I don't
think
if you're saying they should be in the squad, I think Gareth Southgate has made the right decision
on the toppest form, the highest form. Who's better? Is it Marcus Rashford? In his pace? Absolutely.
Wonderful forwards there, but a lot of
he destroys defenders.
For England, is his pace something that maybe Southgate could have relied on in the Euros, even as a sub? Yeah, this was definitely a surprise, Teddy, because you only need to cast your mind back to the World Cup when Marcus Rashford was in the midst of a really good season at Man United, and he didn't actually play as much as I thought, having been out there in Doha. He should have. He made an impact when he played. Few goals in the group stages, even though he was largely used off the bench. Then I was really shocked that he didn't start the first knockout stage. Was it against Senegal? And then obviously
I'm really shocked. This guy, David
he was in the most recent
is
squad
watching
in
Marcus
March.
Rashford. He's a follower of Marcus
Presumption,
Rashford.
despite his
He's a
form, was
follower
that
of
he's
Manchester
the kind
United,
of threat
which is why he's saying
at his stage and
don't
age
look
in
at
his
the
career.
season.
That
Look
will
at
be
the
useful
overall
in this
picture.
tournament. And we
Marcus
know
Rashford is 13 or 14 in the all-time Manchester United goal scoring record. He's only 26.
And has been for a long time.
He's only
So,
26.
yeah, this was one.
And he's playing in a team where
him, but I did think Gareth Southgate would go with
he's
him.
shit. He's been
On
shit
the
for
other
10
hand,
years.
I wasn't so surprised with Henderson, just because of what Mark's explained around the injuries and the form and the very disjointed year in terms of his two moves since leaving Liverpool. I think he'll be really bitterly disappointed, and the surprise element is that Southgate has let go of such a loyal player, somebody he has relied on and trusted, and is great in the dressing room, a top character and a leader. He was vice captain, been to 6 major tournaments, and he's going brave, Gareth Southgate. He's backing the likes of Adam Wharton, Kobbie Mainoo to come good. If this is to be his last major tournament as England manager, it looks like he's going to go down by doing what the country want and being a bit bold in his selections. Should Rashford leave, Mark, quickly?
Should Rashford leave? Are you joking? What kind of question is
transfer
that?
market is something not awash with money, as David will know. There's not many clubs out there.
The journalist that's asking the question, what is that? Is that a narrative? Is that creating a narrative on social media? Is that why Marcus Rashford receives the abuse he received? I believe so. I believe he is.
Feels like, David, you
I
mentioned
believe
a little bit of
get
top-heavy
people
squad
watch
as well of the
back pages like
youngsters in
this,
there. Who do you think might
and they're
really
listening to Mark Ogden's negativity, but then they've got David Ornstien, who they're not exactly showing that they're going after him directly.
Yeah, I'm not so sure
but
that
it's subtle.
Get a start unless there are injuries, which
it's like a good cop, bad cop kind of scenario.
Years to come. I love what I've seen of him so far, but I think in the last international break that he was called up for, he didn't feature, and so it would be a bit of a surprise if he came in ahead of the likes of Getty, who I think has a really good chance of starting. Let's see what
David Ornstien
is of Harry Maguire.
sounds like he's baffled by Gareth Southgate's
the central
decision
defensive
to
partnership
leave
of
Marcus
Maguire and
Rashford.
Stones.
By his comments,
love to
he
see
says,
go.
I'm
Everything
baffled.
we've witnessed with him since that brilliant move to Crystal Palace, Dougie Freedman, the Scot helping out England, is really impressive, and it's in a part of midfield where England don't have much depth without Henderson there. Kobbie Mainoo too looks like he's going to get an opportunity. So yeah, I think those two midfielders, I would say, are those that I would imagine.
Let's see what Gareth Southgate
At
says.
this stage, but you never know with
I don't like
injuries,
Gareth Southgate.
and that's the big factor that Gareth Southgate will be sweating on. Indeed, can't beat the races.
I always pick the favourite.
I back the outsider. To be honest, my favourite, The races for a second, and just 23 days to go until 2024 all kicks off. England fans possibly getting excited, are you?
Yeah, I think after yes, they probably are. This might give you a bit of a spring in your step. Gareth Southgate said Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham are fit and ready to play that first game against Serbia.
Yeah, he expects Bellingham to need a bit of time off after the Champions League final, but Captain Kane is ready to go.
Our information from Bayern and from Harry was that a good decision, sensible decision not to play the last game of the season, but we're expecting him to be able to train as soon as he arrives with us.
Jude Bellingham, of course, is the only player you've got involved in the Champions League final. How do you manage him?
I think it's important for him to get a bit of a breather, so we wouldn't be looking to him to play in the final friendly. Given the intensity of the season, the incredible season he's had, the fact he's going longer than everybody else, and the physical and psychological freshness of that week following the Champions League final is going to be really important for him.
Well, if you missed the uproar about who was included in Southgate's squad and who was left out yesterday, where were you?
Where were you indeed? There were a couple of notable omissions, Marcus Rashford and Jordan Henderson, two main names that didn't appear, and Southgate said they were tough decisions to make.
We've always made those decisions, we've always had at times to make difficult calls, players that have either been with England for a long time, going back to when I started, or
Southgate.
Super players for
This
us,
is
really
politics.
important players for us, but others
This is Tory government politics as to why you didn't select Marcus Rashford. This has nothing to do with form. This has nothing to do with anything, because if that was the case, Harry Maguire doesn't get
physically since his injury. The fantastic leadership.
I'm saying that as a Manchester United fan. I'm no anti-Harry Maguire. I love him. He's a Manchester United player. I want him fixed. But players like this are the bread and butter is England.
Would it be fair to say that
The bread and butter is England. So what Wayne Rooney said the other day about players only being injured because they're worried about the Euro call-up, right, and England, he was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And he's showing loyalty to Harry Maguire, but he's not showing any loyalty to Marcus Rashford, and that's because of Tory politics. This man right here, they chopped an honorary doctorate, they chopped her through an MBE to shut this kid up. He was onto something, and he embarrassed the Tory Boris Johnson government twice. He spanked them twice. No one's done that. No Britain, no person in 500 years has been able to spank the British government like the way Marcus Rashford did. I'm sorry, Marcus Rashford should have got a Nobel Prize for his achievement. His achievement isn't in football. His achievement is, and forever will be known, of the man who spanked the Tory government and fed hungry kids. This is Marcus Rashford's legacy. This will be Marcus Rashford's legacy. When he retires from football, he will get a Nobel Prize. I promise you. I guarantee you. And if he doesn't get a Nobel Prize, right, he's going to get some kind of recognition as one of the greatest Britons ever. And it's black. This is politics.
So that's usually exciting, and it doesn't bother us too much what other people think. What we've got to do is get the right decisions ourselves, get the right preparation over the next couple of weeks.
I'm sorry, I'm 51. I've supported England football since I was young. I watched it all. I grew up. But ever since Gareth Southgate became England manager, I just haven't been able to stomach it. I've not watched one single game. I don't know what's going on with the England team. I couldn't say whether they're good or bad. I haven't watched it. I hear the results after the game, yes, from news and newspapers, but I've never actually watched an England game in almost 10 years. And there's a section of the England fan base that have walked away. They're not watching. I'm not, and I will not be watching England. I don't support them. I'd rather support Wales. So, you know, it's disappointing that Marcus Rashford has not been included into the England squad, and I think something needs to be done.